Henry Ford once said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently." Producing my first ever podcast by no means was picture perfect or Oscar worthy yet. And that's okay by me. I'm reminded that failure is not the end, but a chance to recalibrate and emerge stronger throughout each episode and embrace the opportunities to learn, grow, and evolve throughout my podcasting journey, one podcast at a time. Hi guys, my name's Tan Al Ro, aka Ta for short. Welcome to my podcasting journey, where in part 2 I take you behind the scenes of my simple setups and preparations towards producing my first podcast. Throughout the early stages of production for my first podcast, I promised myself that I would start my podcast on the 31st of May. I realized I had to get a script ready. I also needed to have the equipment ready as well, like my lavalier mic, a tripod. However, I wanted to change the scene and I decided to jump online and book accommodations somewhere completely random where I'd never been before. I felt like I was kind of halfway there, halfway prepared in producing my first podcast. However, on the day of turning up to the accommodations, it looked nothing like what I saw online. It wasn't actually what I thought it was going to be. And looking at the room too was like, oh no. So I spent like the first 10 to 20 minutes observing the room to really make this work, because it was too late. I'm here now. It's best to just make use of what I can and just get creative, which is exactly what I did. I got really creative in how I set up everything. So I guess it worked as best as I could. But it's also something that I can reflect and look upon and realize that, hey, look, this may have not turned out to be as perfect as I wanted to. So it did present some challenges, but it also presented the opportunity of creativity. I mean, I used the coffee table. There was also a steel frame drawer that was in the wardrobe where I used to also prop that on top of the coffee table, then have some of my journals on top of the frame, and then my tripod on top of the books that I had laid out, so I could get at least some form of face level in looking at my camera, or in other words, looking at my phone. You wouldn't notice it when you saw the production, but showing you from behind the scenes of what I had to do was absolutely gold for me. I mean, personally, it was really about just getting started with my podcast, because I committed to a date that I wanted to start a podcast. Why? Because I felt like I needed to prove to myself that I can do it. And if I can do it, then hopefully what I did could also inspire others that are enthusiast podcasters that want to do their podcast. I found that the main thing here is about starting. Heather Torres of the Think Media team, or even the Think Media team alone too, were so inspiring with some of the comments that they made about how to start a podcast and that. And one of the ones that I took to heart was really just to get started. Hit record and get started, And I realized, like, if I'm going to keep using excuses that I'll do it next week, or I'm not ready yet because I don't have the proper gear, I don't have a decent camera, just like me, realizing even though I didn't have the perfect location, the perfect environment, I don't have all the equipment to produce high quality content right now, my environment's not up to standard, then the only person that's failing this opportunity of learning from something is you. Because at the end of the day, I just want to pay it back forward to how I was inspired by YouTube with motivational videos. And actually it was through YouTube that I started reading books again. But that's another podcast. So don't think it's the end of the world if you don't have all the flash equipment right now. Right now, doing this podcast has helped me to improve just that little bit more. Even though I could show you behind the scenes of this simple setup of what it's like again too, which is funny. It's propped up on a drum box that I've got, my books of journal again, and I'm in my bedroom. I'm using light from the sun that's coming from the left-hand side. Not the best, but what is the best is still having a go at it so that I can look back at it and then go, okay, I know where I kind of fell short here, and that's where I can improve on. And also, I know that eventually I'll get to buy the gear that can definitely lift my game up in producing a better podcast. It just means that right now, I'm probably not in that situation to do such things yet. But I definitely look forward to getting there. And I think that's the part that you should be more excited about. Looking forward to getting to that next level, the next stage of your podcast. So, thank you again for tuning in. And please, if you did like this video, subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And please, leave a comment on what you thought about this podcast, as I'd like to really grow and improve. And join me. If you're also an enthusiast podcaster that's on your journey today, then let's grow together. And please, if you like this video, hit the like button too. And tune in next week for my third and final podcast of this mini-series, where I get to wrap everything up together and give you feedback. And also hopefully comments from others can give me the feedback that I can also share back to you guys, the viewers, who I appreciate have tuned in to check out my podcast. And if you've got some criticism to say, then please say it. If I suck, I'd like to know that too. I'd appreciate knowing how much I suck so then I can improve. Like I said, thank you again for tuning in and for watching this podcast, and spread love and kindness wherever you are around the world. Peace out.